This here is a stack of MacBook Airs 13-inch. The question is, should you get the 13-inch or the 15-inch? What exactly do you get extra? Is it just the size? What do you pay for? There are some free things, apparently. Or should you be upgrading from 15-inch to the MacBook Pro? Because the Pro features, is there any Pro features? How much are they? Are they actually worth it? Because there can be $1,000 upgrade to this one. Is that $1,000 actually worth it? Well, that's exactly what I thought as well, until I looked deep underneath and actually realized that
I hate computers.
The upgrade is not as bad as you think, because there's a lot of free things that you would have to pay for the Air anyway. And depending what you do, there's a laptop for each of you. You don't necessarily pay more, but you also get more. Or do you? Let's find out.
This is not a sponsored segment, but I thought I'm going to tell you about this device because if you're interested in this video, you'll probably want to know about this because this changed the game. This finally allows us to have as fast storage speeds externally as you would get internally. This changes the game, and this finally allows us to not pay the Apple storage tax. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go check out our video in the video description below.
If you do want to check out my video on the MacBook Airs and which upgrades are actually worth it, go check it out. I bought every single version, as you can see over here, so you don't have to. If you would like to pick any of these up, or you're actually on the look for a laptop and you want to purchase any of these, I've got some links in the video description below. If you go through them, you'll get them cheaper than on Apple's website.
That's right. You decide.
I do get a small commission,
but
at no extra cost to you, but that does help the channel and the helpful content coming your way. Let's take a look at the 13-inch versus the 15-inch MacBook Airs. What exactly do you get extra? There is a $200 difference between the base 13 and base 15. Is that $200 worth it? What exactly do you get for it? Well, actually, there's some good news. The 15-inch actually is better bang for your buck than the 13-inch. Let me explain. Firstly, you get a free 70-watt charger with it. So you get now quick charging, which on the 13-inch you would have to pay $20 extra for. Secondly, the 15-inch MacBook Pros come with the free $100 GPU upgrade. The 13-inch base model comes with 8-core GPU, whereas the base model 15-inch actually has fully binned 10-core GPU and 10-core CPU. So you get extra 2 cores on the GPU. So now we're actually getting extra free $120 worth of upgrades from 13 to 15. Plus on top of that, we get obviously the bigger screen and a little bit of a bigger battery, but the battery life roughly is the same because of the bigger screen, obviously, but also because of the bigger chassis, the performance is going to be slightly better on the 15-inch because it is better at dissipating the heat rather than the 13-inch. The 13-inch can throttle very, very quickly if you do heavy tasks, but the 15-inch not so much. So all in all, the 15-inch is actually a better bang for buck because your upgrade from 13-inch to 15-inch is actually $80, not $200, because the rest of the things are kind of free, what you would have had to pay for on the 13-inch upgrade. But then let's put the 13-inch on the side and look at the 15-inch MacBook Air, which is one of my favorite models actually. Should you get the 15-inch MacBook Air or the 14-inch MacBook Pro? The base model of 15-inch to the 14-inch, yes, there's slightly smaller screen size, but there is a $400 upgrade. $400 for this? What exactly do you get? Because the chip inside is the same, M4 to M4, nothing changes there. Well, Apple actually gives you a free $200 SSD upgrade. Now you have 512 gigabytes instead of 256. So that you would have had to pay for on the MacBook Air. Suddenly, our upgrade is going to cost only $200. For that $200, we also get a lot better screen. The screen now is 120 Hertz instead of 60 Hertz. It goes a lot brighter. It has more pixels. Everything is better on that screen, which is really nice. So if you use the Pro version, you'll see everything seems a lot snappier just because you've got more refresh rate. So everything feels a little bit more fluid. You get better ports. You get HDMI port, you get SD card slot and extra USB-C port, which is Thunderbolt 4. So one extra Thunderbolt 4. So if you're doing a lot of presenting, for example, and you want to just plug in HDMI to your laptop, having no dongles with you as a MacBook Air user, on the Pro, it is a very welcome upgrade. The Pro also comes with active cooling, which means that your M4 performance now is never going to go down. It's never going to be throttling because that new active cooling is able to keep it on the wraps all the time. Whereas the Air will throttle if you do heavy loads on it. So if you're planning to export things or still do a little bit of video editing and exporting some stuff, it will be faster on the Pro version just because it's got active cooling. Potentially, it's actually got a little bit of a better battery life because it's a little bit thicker and you can put a little bit bigger in there. And a faster charger is also available. This Pro versions can charge the battery at up to 96 watts, whereas the Air can only go to roughly about 70 watts. So now, in essence, this is a $200 upgrade that you pay for better ports, better screen, better charging experience, faster. So is that worth it? Now the question is, what if we upgraded from the 15-inch MacBook Air to the 14-inch MacBook Pro that's got the M4 Pro chip? Now that is extra $800. Is it actually worth it? Firstly, you get 2 free upgrades with it. You get a free SSD and then RAM upgrade. So that costs $200 each on the MacBook Air, from 16 gigabytes of RAM to 24 gigabytes of RAM, to 256 gigabytes of storage to 512 gigabytes of storage. Now the specs that you get with the base model, it's actually only $400 upgrade. You do get a lot better CPU and GPU. You get extra 2 CPU cores and extra 8 GPU cores on the M4 Pro. But how much better is the M4 Pro compared to the M4? Oh my goodness. If you do any creative tasks, especially video editing, we're talking 50% CPU performance. That's pure CPU performance. Only 2 cores extra to 12 cores, but the CPU performance multi-core is 50% faster. If you don't believe me, go check out my all Mac Mini comparison where we compared the M4 to M4 Pro Mac Minis. There's a huge performance jump from the M4 to M4 Pro. The GPU, pure GPU performance, the extra 8 cores are 60 to 70% better. So if you are doing any Blender, any GPU heavy tasks, it's going to be absolutely massive. With the M4 Pro, you also get better media engines inside there, and that is going to give a huge performance for video editing. We're talking about 70% increase in video editing, for example, in Premiere Pro from MacBook Air to MacBook Pro. In fact, even more, because the M4 would be throttling because of the not active cooling, whereas the Pro would just run all the time. So we're talking up to 2 times faster video editing performance, but in average, in overall scores, we're talking about 70% increased video editing performance in Adobe Premiere Pro from the Air to the Pro. That is absolutely massive. Then on top of that, obviously we get better ports, the same ports as we mentioned previously, but because it's the M4 Pro, now suddenly the Thunderbolt ports are not Thunderbolt 4, but now the Thunderbolt 5. So if you need Thunderbolt 5 and you want to extend your storage or something like that on a Thunderbolt 5 device, the Pro chip will give you that chance. So in essence, it's not an $800 upgrade because some of these things are already, upgraded or you get for free when you go in higher. So that $2,000 laptop now is actually a $400 increase from the M4 MacBook Air. To me, that $400 increase is a huge performance gain as a creator. So for you, if you're doing content creation and you're wanting to do video editing, then that $2,000 laptop is absolutely insane. By the way, if you check out my links below, you should be getting this for around 10% off. So that's around $1,800 if I'm not mistaken. Go check out the links in the video description below. Hopefully that deal is still going when you're watching this. And now suddenly it starts to make a lot of sense. So who are these laptops for? Which ones should you be getting? I think if you're doing just basic tasks and you're taking notes and you want the laptop to be extremely light and very small and still have incredible, web browsing performance, the 13-inch is the absolute amazing pick for you. Going through the links below, you should get this cheaper than $1,000. If you have extra $200, I think the 15-inch is a better value for you. I feel like you're getting a better experience in this. I prefer larger screen. It's still extremely thin and really nice to use. It's fantastic and I really enjoy that. If you're thinking that you're going to be doing a lot of video and photo editing on the MacBook Air, I don't feel like this is a best option for you, especially if you're in a hot climate where there's more than 30 degrees outside, 20 5+ degrees, the M4 is going to start to throttle on the MacBook Air a lot doing video and creative tasks because it doesn't have active cooling. Then you want to go with a Pro. And then going with the Pro, I'd kind of say that if you're doing any creative tasks, going with the M4 Pro is going to be a huge upgrade for you. If you just want a basic laptop that still is really nice to use in terms of usability and some of the ports and the screen, but you don't actually need the extra performance, then going with the M4 model makes sense for you. And I get it. Content creation, go with the M4 Pro. That's the one that makes the difference. If you want to pick any of these up, the links are in the description below. Thanks guys for watching. Let me know what you think. Bye-bye.